Daniel chapter 7 theory, a supporting video for Satan versus the devil. They are different. Again, gentle strangers, realizing we have inherited lies as inherent truth, I have started to re-examine the validity of the doctrines of the established order. Check out what I've been missing all of this time. I'm starting to believe the prophet Daniel also describes what these conjured up demons actually look like, but we modern humans are looking at it beyond it. The chapter 7 prophecies are not a rehash of the others in earlier chapters. Think about it for a minute. Daniel was told to seal up the understanding of his prophecies, right? Why would Yah tell him that while giving him 3 accounts of the same event? Here's an outline of my reasons to believe the beasts that are described in Daniel 7 cannot be an allegory, the beast talked about in the book of Revelations, or any other beast described thus far for that matter, nor is it a rehash of both statue visions in Daniel 2 and in 4, which are also 2 different and distinct prophecies that we'll deal with in another video. First reason. Daniel already knew both of Nebuchadnezzar's dreams, and yet this one was totally foreign to him. Not only was this dream foreign, it troubled Daniel to have this particular vision. 2, all 4 kingdoms are around at the same time, unlike the statue in Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Not only that, they are not destroyed in the same manner as the Nebuchadnezzar's dream, because the first 3 beasts were allowed to live for a short time in chapter 7. Third reason. The 3 beasts are not affiliated with the dreadful 4th beast in chapter 7, whereas in Nebuchadnezzar's statue, the incoming kingdom took over the last. Remember, the 3 horns plucked up were from the same beast and not the others. Fourth, the lion with wings, that's the first beast in Daniel 7, can't be Nebuchadnezzar, because this vision was years after Nebuchadnezzar was already dead. Besides, Nebuchadnezzar's heart was turned towards good, but the heart of this beast is that what was spoken by the prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah 19:9. Quote, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who could know it?" Example. Last but not least, I will dare go into the book of Revelations just once to prove that even in the New Testament, they knew the 4 beasts were angels. Revelations 9:14 through 15. Quote, "Saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay a 1/3 part of men." Example. Doesn't it strike you as odd there were angels bound in the sea in the first place? Did you notice they were prepared and not just in chains? Didn't we already read in scriptures the evildoers will be hiding on the bottom of the ocean? I was just jesting before when I spoke about the Lord of the Rings story, but I am starting to believe the writers actually channeled what the fallen ones wanted to portray. Just like the movie, I see at least 15 different monster armies. Yes, I said at least 15 monster armies, not including regular humans, that will be doing battle for supremacy of the earth in the coming last days. The Holy Spirit allows those called and chosen to not only see what is written straightforward, but also allows them to see the duality in the scriptures, which opens up the mysteries therein. When we read things that are outside of our comfort zone, we tend to make them symbolic and allegory, which is a huge mistake. Take the beast in the book of Daniel chapter 7, for instance. Yeah, I know what you think we know about what this prophecy is saying, but do we really? Using the minimal amount of research we have just read, Let's take a look at the scripture, shall we? All right, here's the context of it. Everybody knows about the visions of the four beasts. One was like a lion with eagle's wings that were plucked off, and the lion was given the heart of a man. Another was like a fearsome bear. Another was a four-headed leopard with chicken wings coming out of his back. And I'm not talking about the ones that you eat. The fourth was more diverse than the others, to the point Daniel couldn't even give it a base characteristic. It had 11 horns, but the last one to pop up, who was more stout than the others, plucked up 3 of the horns. This horn was also different because it had eyes like a man and a mouth that spoke great things. The words must have been so profane that, uh-oh, here comes Yah and a host of angelic beings and judgment for this particular beast, which the horn was a part. And it was slain, his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. Have you noticed yet? This is not the description of any of the other heavenly host destruction. This is the first who was slain, their body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. All the others have components, but not the full regalia like this cat. Meaning, this is an entirely different heavenly host we're dealing with. Also notice that all 4 of these beasts are operating with dominion on the earth at the exact same time, unlike the statue of Nebuchadnezzar. As for the other 3 beasts, their dominion was taken away and their lives were spared for a short time. Again, if looked upon with a critical eye, you can clearly surmise these beasts are actual beings and not an allegory for a kingdom. Kingdoms don't have lives to be killed and thrown into a flame. Okay, after this, Brother Daniel also saw the Messiah being given dominion over the earth by Yah. Daniel was grieved in his spirit about one of the prophecies that he had just envisioned. Apparently there was other heavenly hosts near him, because he went up to one and asked what the vision meant. Now, up until now, we were looking at things from Brother Daniel's point of view, and not from, as he asked the being, the truth of all of this. These beasts were like a bear, but not a bear. Like a lion, but not a lion. You get me? Okay, let's keep going. Now here's where things get very interesting and backs up all that I have said thus far. Here's what the angel told Daniel about what he had just envisioned. Now, I know it's pesky, but allow me to cut in and explain each phase. Daniel 7:17 through 26. Quote, "These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth." Caveat. Remember, they will come up from the north. Linguistically, this is an oxymoron, unless they are coming from the netherworld to the surface in the northern lands. Now, here comes the duality in the scriptures I was talking about earlier. "But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom." All right? Caveat. Now it is being considered a kingdom. Bottom line, basically, The 4 kings will come out of the earth with their kingdoms / subjects coming with them. The 4th king is the last to emerge. Remember, they will be all on the earth together, unlike the statue of Nebuchadnezzar's. Actually, they sound like 4 different underworld gods / spirits, and their subjects adhere to their particular god spirit. Just like on top of the earth, you got little white baby JC, Muhammad, Krishna, Dalai Lama, etc. All have their own kingdoms and followers. But let's keep going. Upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them. So that's 11, plus the beast. And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. Caveat. Out of this diverse kingdom, there are 10 sub-kings that obviously have their own mind, because one of the 3 kings subdues 3 kings. Just like on top of the earth. Islam has their nations, all with their own agenda. Christianity has their own nations, all with their own agenda. Hindu has their own nations, etc. So basically, the 4th king has at least 10 other kings within its coalition of the willing. But again, we still ain't talking about the beast. These are just the kings that are on the beast, that are under the beast's banner. Put it that way. But we see the same thing happen in Genesis 14 with Kedorlaomer. He had 4 kings, and the cities of the plain had 5 kings. But let's keep going. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and think to change times and the laws, and they shall be given unto his hand until the time and times and the dividing of times. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, and to consume and to destroy it to the end. Example. Of course, I can't say that I am truly right, because the understanding of this book is sealed until Yah allows us to truly understand it. But one thing for sure, as prophesied earlier, we already know all established doctrines is a big fat lie. So thinking outside of the box is necessary to at least show that we're truly trying to understand. Remember, in the days of Noah, all flesh was corrupt, meaning hybrid human beasts walking the earth was as common as homosexuality is today. I am also beginning to believe the fallen watchers were trying to recreate mankind in their image. 1 Chronicles 11 and 22. Quote, Benaniah, son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts. He slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. Also he went down and slew a lion in a pit in a snowy day. Example, 2 lion-like men, huh? Surely he was not making a mistake, because he actually mentioned a lion in the same verse. Today is no different. The internet is full of animal mankind has slapped together. We all have seen the mouse with the ear on his back and the expose on the liger, where they mixed a lion and a tiger together. Everything from killer bees, savanna cats, polar/grizzly bear hybrids, cow with animal blood, goats with spider genes, etc. are already in our sphere. But wait! To prove my point that we are going back into the days of Noah, according to the Daily Mail, that's Great Britain's main news source, September 30th, 2014, under 150 human-animal hybrids grown in UK lab. Embryos have been produced secretly for the past 3 years. Quote, scientists have created more than 150 human-animal hybrid embryos in British laboratories. The hybrids have been produced secretly over the past 3 years by researchers looking into possible cures for a wide range of diseases. The revelation comes just as the day after the committee of scientists warned of a nightmare Planet of the Apes scenario in which work on human animal creation goes too far. Last night, a campaigner against the excesses of medical research said that he was disgusted that the scientists were dabbling into the grotesque. Figures seen by the Daily Mail shows that 155 admixed embryos containing both human and animal genetic material have been created since the introduction of the 2008 Human Fertilization Embryology Act. This legalized the creation of a variety of hybrids, including an animal egg fertilized with a human sperm, which is a hybrid, in which human nucleus is implanted into an animal cell, and chimeras, in which human cells are mixed with animal embryos. 3 labs in the UK at King's College London, Newcastle University, and Warwick University were granted license to carry out the research after the act came into force. Human-animal hybrids are also created in other countries, many which have little to no regulations. Example: in my book entitled Children Are Our Future, I went to great lengths to show just how far down the rabbit hole the world has gone in reference to making the film Lord of the Rings and Greek mythology a reality. How? By using in vitro fertilization techniques. In fact, according to Yahoo News, Chinese scientists just admitted to tweaking the genes of human embryos for the first time. Quote, the genome editing enzyme known as CAS9 at work on a strand of DNA. A group of Chinese scientists just reported that they modified the genome of human embryos, something that has never been done in the history of the world. They haven't read the Bible yet. According to a report in Nature News, a recent biotech discovery, one that has been called the biggest biotech discovery of the century, showed how scientists might be able to modify a human genome when that genome was still just an embryo. This could change not only the genetic material of a person, but could also change the DNA path they pass on, removing bad genetic codes and potentially adding good ones, and taking an active hand in evolution. Hung's group successfully introduced the DNA they wanted in only a fraction of the 28 embryos that had been successfully spliced. They also found a surprising number of off-target mutations, according to Nature News. Example: so the powers that be will admit they have successfully created human-animal hybrids and spliced genes with altered DNA, the latter having the surprising number of off-target mutations. Wow. We know demon spirits can enter animals and make them violent. Everybody knows about the story of Legion, right? In Matthew 8:31. There was a man infested with demons that made him super strong, stripped butt naked, and howl all day long. After the man saw the Messiah, the demons, whose name in English is Legion, because there were many, begged the Messiah not to make them leave the region. I'll deal with that later. I'm thinking my research bears out that the devil is a regional entity. But again, we'll deal with that in another video. Wait a minute, I think I may have dealt with it in Satan versus no, I did not. No, I did not. But we will deal with that. But instead allowed them to infest a herd of pigs. The Messiah allowed it, and the demons went their way, causing the pigs to get violent and commit suicide by jumping off the cliff. Why go into the pigs if they were just going to make them die anyway? You ask? Because being disembodied spirits, they don't die, and it allowed them to stay in the region. Now back to the original scriptures. What I see is at least 4 different waves of a takeover. The first being the spirits of the fallen watchers who are now dwelling in IVF soulless bodies and chimeras, which are human-animal hybrids, who are not on the same team. They are not on the same team, people. I'm sorry. They're not on the same team. I think I'm talking to my friends. The second wave will be the 3 beasts and their followers coming up out of the earth who care nothing about the IVF chimeras. The third wave is the Assyrian, who came up out of the netherworld, who is the leader of the 10 kings. This Assyrian leader will use dark synthesis to conjure up more spirits who will divide up the land and rule over many. And that's in Daniel chapter 8. We know this is talking about the Assyrian because just like he is described as being more stout than others, in chapter 8, he is described as having a fierce countenance, which means he will be a scary looking dude. What is about to embark upon the earth will absolutely blow our minds into submission. One imperial foe after another will ascend and take claim of their old neighborhoods before the flood, and with violence that burns within them, physical war with spiritual supernatural beings will rock this world like no time before. Puny humanoid mankind will be mincemeat and will have no other choice but to bow down to the powers that the first wave of IVF spirit human hybrids will. At that point, puny mankind will come to the conclusion, if you can't beat them, join them, and will willingly become givers to keep up with the global society. Every nation upon the earth have excavated the tombs and have the mummies of their and skeletons, which is they got DNA samples of their ancient giants, mighty men, and famous ancient leaders. We read in another video where scientists have debated for over 10 years to clone the ancient pharaohs. In fact, check out how deep this is. According to Reuters, under hunt for ancient royal tomb in Mexico takes a Mercury twist. Quote, a Mexican archaeologist hunting for a royal tomb in a deep, dark tunnel beneath a towering pre-Aztec pyramid has made a discovery that may have brought him a step closer. Liquid mercury. Quote, it's something that's completely surprised us, Gomez said at the entrance of the tunnel below the Teotihuacan pyramid of the plumed serpent, about 30 miles northwest of Mexico City. Deeper into the complex comprises 3 chambers. Gomez expects us to find the elusive last resting place of a king, Teotihuacan, or abode of the gods in Aztec language, was distinct from the Mayan civilization. Its inhabitants left no handwriting records, abandoning the city long before the Aztecs came into power in the 14th century. Example. So, they are looking for a king and a temple of the plumed serpent in a place called the City of the Gods, huh? If you know anything about alchemy and the occult, mercury is the primary fluid used to not only try to find the elixir of life, but it is said to be used in extra-dimensional spaceflight. So it is only a logical thing to believe the Bible when Yah told the Gentiles to wake up your mighty men, meaning the men of old, men of renown, will be the world's leaders of the earth, just like in the days of Noah. This would mean when we look and try to understand the prophecies of Daniel 11 and 12, we must do so with this information in mind. This could only mean the kings of the north and south are givers, and it would explain why they seem to have carte blanche power in the world. looking at how the modern world societies govern themselves with so-called democracies, communism, nationalism, etc., these prophecies do not fit the current political climate. It is obvious these kings are not elected with a Congress, a parliament, a royal council, or public opinion to deal with. Russia just annexed the land that used to be theirs, and the world was up in arms. Surely two kings wielding this much power over so many different lands, cultures, nuclear weapons, religions, and natural interests must be regional dictators of the highest degree. There are a couple of epic battles between the two kings. Sometimes the South won, sometimes the North. Well, the victorious king of the North, though the king of the South apparently survives because he is at the one table with the king of the North, both telling lies. And the life was good all around the world. You know what? I'm halfway through. I'm going to stop here. And I'm going to pick it up. But thank you for listening to this part. Please stay with me. There's a lot more to go.